All right, Black Goose TV family, what's good with it? This video right here is going to be different than the usual videos I do. I always talk about boxing, all that good stuff, but I gotta do a video on my review of the Batman. I just walked up out of the theater after watching it, all 3 hours of that joint. So what I'm gonna do here with this, because I'm in the car, I'm just chilling, you know what I'm saying? I'm off that, it's interesting, man. It's been a while. It's been a very long time since I went to the movie theaters, obviously with all this stuff going on. But also, too, I feel like no movie necessarily has came out worth me going to the movie theaters. I know the Spider-Man thing came out, but I'm not a big Spider-Man fan or Marvel fan. So it's been a minute since I went to the movie, and it's been a minute since I went to the movies and got that after-movie high. What is that after-movie high? I know y'all, when y'all see a great film or you go in excited as hell for a film, right? And not only does it not disappoint, but it surpasses your expectations. Yes, I'm telling y'all right now, okay? That's why I'm making this video. I know what this channel's about, but I had to talk about it. Batman's always been my favorite character since a little one out the womb. So obviously, to see another Batman in my generation, I've went through, you know, for me, the prominent ones are, two, you know what I'm saying, which was Christian Bale and Ben Affleck. Now to be on this third iteration or the third, whatever you want to call it, I was blown away, man. I'm not even gonna lie to you. So let me start off here. There's gonna be no spoilers at all when it comes to this. Actually, it was so good. I'm gonna go see it again either tomorrow or later in the week, whatever it may be, so I can, you know what I'm saying, really get a good gist on everything, because I felt like when I was watching it during that time, I was just kind of in the moment and just taking everything in. And also I was being very critical because I am a big Batflick fan. I'm a Snyderverse guy. I know a lot of people hate the Snyderverse, all that good stuff, but I'm a big fan behind it when it comes to that case. So I went into it right now. I sit down, the opening credits start, you know what I'm saying? I see Robert Pattinson doing his thing and starting off. I've already, watched all the reviews, non-spoiler reviews, seen the comments. So I already have an expectation. I already know kind of how the story's going to go. So I'm trying to see if I can watch this and see what the reviews we're talking about, see if it lines up, all this stuff. And then also I was going into it like, whenever somebody says something is that good, it usually ends up being the opposite, because the media ain't shit. They gonna lie to you, right? I sit down from the start, right? The first thing I'm thinking in my head when I'm watching, I'm like, all right, this is cool. I'm okay with this, but I'm not really sold as Patterson right now being the Batman. He's not really coming across as the Batman right now for me. He's kind of coming off as a dude in a suit trying to be the Batman, right? But then the cinematography is just so fire. I'm like, okay, this is a beautiful picture, the way it's shot. The little subtle details in the way the actors were portraying certain emotions and relationships in the beginning, and as it was moving and progressing forward, I just slowly felt myself when I'm watching the movie in my head saying, okay, Robert Pattinson, I'm not really buying it. My real Batman is Batflick. You know what I'm saying? This is cool, but it seems like they on some other shit. But as I'm watching it, it just slowly is changing into, wow, damn. This movie fire, right? And now, look, you have to be watching a great movie if you go into it kind of already hating, because that's what I was. Even though I'm a big Batman fan, I'm such a Batflick fan and Snyderverse, I'm kind of going ahead, there ain't no way they can be better, They should have gave Snyderverse an opportunity to really, But I'm over there, and as I'm watching it, watching the story develop, man, and that's what really sold me on this, all right? Besides, the acting being incredible, you know what I'm saying, the action scenes, that was probably the one thing I'll come to this movie about that I'll probably be like, but I actually thought the action scenes were a little subpar. But the way it was shot and kind of what they're heading toward, as in the type of universe they're building, and how you want to, see Batman, and how you want to, take him in as kind of this hero, young hero who's trying to find his way, etc., etc. It's like, okay, it's starting to make the way the action was shot, it does line up with that in the film. So it is very, what's the word for it? Congruent. It works very well together, right? But individually, especially me being such a big fan of Snyderverse, the action, that was probably the only kind of like, they could have done. But regardless, man, the story is really what made me be like, this is the best Batman movie, man. Even though me personally, I'm not saying now this is the best Batman movie, me being unbiased and not like, and this isn't my top 3, this isn't like my number 1, but I'm saying if I'm looking at it from an aspect or perspective where I'm like, okay, without me being like, oh, I'm a big Batflick fan, Snyderverse fan, or I grew up on the Christian Bale trilogies. For me, just looking at it, as far as a story, nothing is better than this one. This is number one when it comes to story. It's easy. It's not even nothing's even close to how good this story is when it comes to all the other Batmans. That's my opinion. The story was phenomenal. The way it was written, the way it flowed, the way the characters interacted with each other, the way that it didn't seem like it didn't seem like there was too much. I remember when this movie first came out and it announced it was gonna have Catwoman and Riddler and all this stuff and Penguin in it. Everything flowed congruently. Nothing was over the top, and it was always something new. When you thought you had it figured out, something new ends up happening. You like, God damn, I didn't even think that was gonna happen. When you think it's about to be over, it ain't about to be over. It's like, I also remember one of the things I want to push back too on the reviews that I watched was that this movie was so goddamn good, but a lot of people were saying when it got to the third act, they felt like it kind of fell off, and they could have shaved off some of the time. They could have made it shorter. No! Excuse me for screaming, but hell nah, don't shave off no time. The third act was the strongest act to me. I thought the first act was, but I'm like, you had to build it up. The second act was like, oh, I'm in this motherfucker. And the third act was just like the icing on the cake where it was like, it tied everything together. You know what I'm saying? It was like you had a shoe with no shoelace up in that joint. The first act was you putting the shoelace through the shoe. The second act, you know what I'm saying, was you go ahead and tying the shoe. I'm sorry. The first act was you putting the shoelace in through the shoe. The second act was you putting the shoe on, and the third act was you tying the shoe so that joint is tight. Like, it all went and flowed amazingly. So, first and foremost, the story was absolute crazy. Best story I've seen of all the Batmans I've seen in my lifetime. This is the best story I've seen. Absolutely phenomenal the way it was written. Okay. Now the acting, let's go into acting. Acting was absolutely phenomenal by everyone. There was not one person that I was disappointed when it came to their acting. I thought they did a really good job. Catwoman did a good job. Zoe Kravitz, sexy as hell. Sexy. I loved how she did a very good job for her Catwoman, where obviously Catwoman is a sex symbol to the extent how she's used like throughout the movies and comic books and stuff. But she did a good job keeping that sexiness, but also keeping like a sense of it kind of played into the atmosphere of the movie where everyone was scarred and they're trying to work through those scars. So I thought that was beautiful. Commissioner Gordon, he was amazing. I thought he did a really good job. I actually like what they did with Commissioner Gordon. He's a bigger part of this movie than a lot of people expect, and I haven't seen a lot of people talk about that. I've still seen some people say they don't even like Jeffrey Wright's, I believe Jeffrey Wright, his performance in it or whatever, or if it was just okay. I thought it was amazing. I loved how literally it was almost like a Batman and Robin film, but Robin was Commissioner Gordon. You know what I'm saying? That was fire to me. Like, oh shit, they made Commissioner Gordon Robin low key, and at sometimes he was Batman. He was like, yo, take a seat back, young blood. Let me handle this shit. How real nigga, you know what I'm saying? I was like, that was fire. Commissioner Gordon was fire. Everyone else is supporting cast. Penguin, he was fire. Shit, all the villains, man, it was just Riddler. Riddler was crazy fire, bro. Like, almost to the point where I'm like, this nigga was so good. You know what I'm saying? You better hope the villains you get after them, you know what I'm saying, they can follow that performance, especially if he ends up kind of, doing little sneak peeks into cameos into the newer movie. So I was like, Riddler was fired. And of course, last but not least, Robert Pattinson. Like I said, man, I had to get used to him in the beginning. I was like, this ain't my Batman, but he did a really good job. And what Robert Pattinson did better than any of the other Batmans was his subtle nuances, his nuances, excuse me. It was the subtle movements in his face, his reactions, where it showed that he was green at what he was doing. Like, he wasn't that used to some of the shit he was doing, but he was like, nah, let me still look like when you one of them dudes, like, he reminded me like one of them dudes where, like, you can fight, you got hands, you a real stand-up dude, but then when you in a situation and you around some like real just grimy mugs, and you be like, okay, I ain't nothing like them, but let me put off an act, let me make sure y'all don't think otherwise. That was kind of the performance I got from Robert Pattinson. It was beautiful because it was like he was still young, being the Batman. He's not new, he's like, all this shit ain't new to him, but at the same time, like, but at the same time, like, he's giving off this sense of like, I ain't scared of shit. Like, I'm not scared to die. Like, what I got from him really was like, all this shit is new to me. I'm figuring it out. Like, I conquered fear, all this good stuff, but still there's certain instances of this that I don't know how to react to, but because I'm not scared to die, I'm gonna do it because I'm so scarred. You know what I'm saying? So it was a beautiful performance by Robert Pattinson. So salute to that. So that's really, you know what I'm saying, my review, my quick little non-spoiler review of Batman. I had to do it for the channel, man. I might do another one with spoilers, bro. Maybe try and get Zen on here. We could talk about it because that shit was absolutely fire, man. I want to see it again, man. But my only negatives, my only kickbacks, I would say to the movie, um, would be one, Robert Pattinson's voice. I felt like sometimes at some scenes he stumbled in the sense of how he was supposed to be intimidating, the way he would come off as Batman. I thought he came off a little bit too soft, you know what I'm saying, sometimes. But as the movie went on, I saw that change. So that might have been part to his character development in the movie. And if so, that's a beautiful, beautiful little detail they put in. And then my other, so I guess that really couldn't be a bad thing in a sense if it's really part of the story. It's actually beautifully put. And then my other small nuance, I kind of touched on it already before, my little negative would be the fight. I thought the fighting, this is one of the few Batmans where fighting it has nothing to do with the movie. Like, this isn't really even an action film. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's not really a big deal to me that the fighting scenes weren't what I wanted them to be for Batman. But at the same time, if you put everything into play of him being a younger Batman and kind of how he carried himself and how, they were detailing the type of character and his character development, it makes sense that he want to have the most cleanest and crispest hands. You know what I'm saying? Because from what they alluded to the only person that's trained him to this point was Alfred. So he hasn't even been trained by Ra's al Ghul yet. If they even touch on that, who knows? But he hasn't even gone through that. So he was very green when it came to his hands, and it showed in the fighting scene. So that would probably be my only thing. But even then, that really wasn't negative either, because if like I said, any negatives you have, if you understand what the story was trying to get at and the character development and how they were trying to place everything, it's like, okay, it actually makes, it makes sense. So what would I give it out of 10, man? I was talking to some people, I went with a few of my coworkers, like the best one yet, 9.5. I'm not gonna give it that high of a rating. I'm gonna stay, I'm gonna keep it unemotional. But I am gonna watch it again to see if I give it a better one. But as of right now, I got it at like a 7.7. I got it at the 7.7 out of 10. Why don't I have it in the 8s or in the 9s? I gotta watch it again, man. I gotta watch it again. But this throughout the whole movie, I was like, this is like a 7.5, 7.6. But then once it ended, I was like, this is a 7.7, straight up 7.7, maybe a 7.8. But I'm gonna stick to 7.7 out of 10. That's my rating of the Batman. That's how I feel about it. That's my review straight off coming out of the theater, all that good stuff. Drop your comments below if y'all see it. I want to know what y'all think about it. If y'all disagree with anything I said, yeah, man, I want to see it again. I want to see it again to see if I was, if I was right when it comes to the rating. I just want to kind of look at some more details a little bit and hopefully give a spoiler review on that joint too when my guys in. So salute to the people, man. I'm up out of here, man. Black Goose family all day. What a motherfucking movie. I got that good movie high. I'm about to enjoy the rest of the day. I'm out.